Hello again everybody. In this video we are going to begin the process of learning about variables in your projects and how variables are used in Java. So first of all we're going to go over what variables are and why they're important, and we're going to look at declaring and beginning to use some variables in our programs. We'll probably be making a few videos about variables. This is the first, and we're going to be looking at integer variables in particular in this video. Okay, so first of all, variables are used to represent the data that your program uses. That should be your program uses in memory. So these represent data that's in use by the program, by the code, while it's running. And they're used to store different types of data, usually on a temporary basis while your program is running. So you can kind of think of a variable as a bit like a little storage container that's used to store the data or different types of data or different parts of the data while your program is running. And the data that can actually be stored within a variable can change. So obviously that's why it's referred to as a variable. And unfortunately, variables don't magically appear. The programmer, that's us, we have to decide what type of data, what data we need to use in our programs, and we need to declare and manually set those up. So we need to decide in Java, we need to decide on the type of data, whether, for example, it's a whole number or whether it's text, for example, that we want to store. And there's different ways of handling that and managing that in Java. So we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at variables. This is just our Hello World program that we created in a previous project. If you're looking to set up, or if you're looking to find out how to set up projects in IntelliJ, just have a look at my previous videos. Very easy, file a new project to set that up. But yeah, we've got an example project here, and we're going to declare a couple of variables. So this very simple program that we're going to code up just now is basically, it just requires three pieces of data. We are going to add two whole numbers together, and we're going to display the result. Okay, we're going to work out the result of adding two numbers together. So we're going to need three variables for this project, one for each of the initial numbers and one to store the result or the sum of the numbers. So let's go ahead and declare those. Just going to remove this System.out.println just now. So the data type that's normally used for whole numbers in Java is called an integer. Okay, so when you're declaring an integer, it's just int for short. And I'm just going to name my first variable. I'm just going to call it first number. Okay, first num just now. So we've got first num. Also going to declare a second variable called secondNum, and going to declare a third variable called results. Okay, so we've got first num, second num, and result. Okay, so at the moment, these variables, they're kind of grayed out in IntelliJ at the moment in the code editor, and that's just because although we've declared the variables, they've not been used. Okay, so if you mouse over them, it says the variable first num is never used. So they're there, but they're sitting empty. These are almost like empty containers within the project. So to get data into your variables, you have to assign data to them. Okay, so in this case, we can use the assignment operator, which is the equals key, and we're just going to assign just a made up whole number. So let's go with say 7. Okay, now this is a statement. That's a variable declaration statement. So int first num, and then we've assigned the value 7. Let's assign some other value. Let's just say something else, 14, to that variable, and we need to work out the results. Okay, so we've got two variables, first num and second num. We've assigned some values to those variables, and next we can, what we'll do here is we'll assign the results. Okay, we'll keep result empty just now, but what we'll do is we'll write some arithmetic code to assign a value to results. So what we'll do is we're going to assign the value of the sum of the first num. Okay, and you can see that your variables are now appearing in the predictive text in IntelliJ. So int result, and then we'll assign that the sum of the first num plus the second num. Okay, so let's put some comments into this code. Okay, so let's let's declare first number. Okay, and we'll declare the second number. Okay, so remember, these are just comments in the code. The comments are completely ignored by the computer, but they're useful for humans so we can understand what's going on in your code. So declare the second number and the third number. Okay, so we'll say declare results variable and assign sum of two values. Okay, so that's probably decent comments there. Now I'm going to run this project and it's not going to appear to do anything, but the variables will have been created and I'm not seeing any errors. So we can assume that the first num and the second num have been added together and stored in the results. Okay, so what we can actually do here is just to confirm that we have the correct result. We'll just do a little system out, print line, and what we'll do is we'll put a little string in here saying the result was, and then what we'll do is we will concatenate the result variable, which means we put in the result variable into the output of that System.out.println line. So what we should get is the actual result of the sum of those numbers. So we've got the result was 21. What we'll do is, just for good practice, we will put in a comment here. So we'll just display the result to the console. Okay, display the result in the console. And yeah, so this is our project here. So just to go over that again, then we've got the first num variable. Okay, it's an integer, and we've assigned the value 7 to that. We've got the second variable, which is called secondNum. So that's what we've called it. And now you can call your variables anything within reason. There's a few rules which we'll discuss in later videos about naming variables, but for now, pretty much you can call them anything within reason. Obviously, the whatever you call them should make sense within the context of your code. So we've got a second integer there, which we've assigned 14, and then the third variable, which is result, we've just assigned that the sum of the first num and the second num. So in other words, whatever's contained in those two variables, add them together and then store them in the result variable. And then finally, we've sent the results variable to the screen just with a little string, just indicating what the result was. And we've sent that using a System.out.println line to the console. Now, I mentioned earlier that these can change because they're variables. So we can have whatever values we want in those, and we can send that new result to the console. We can change different things about the code. We want it to multiply. We can do that as well. Okay, so we've actually multiplied the two variables together. Okay, so that's quite a quick introduction to variables. We're going to be doing much more on variables. We've started off with integers, which are for whole numbers, but we'll be looking at some different types of variables as well as we go along in this video series. And yeah, so a quick introduction to variables, why they're important. We had a look at declaring a couple of variables, assigning some values to them, and we even had a little bit of arithmetic, a bit of maths there, and displaying results to the console as well. And that's it for this video. We'll be doing much more on this. Thanks everybody for watching. As always, take care, and we'll see you all again soon.